Hello and welcome to the Home Screen Podcast. This is episode 10. Today I'm joined again by Seth.
Oh, you wanted me to speak? Hi, my name is Seth. I'm a first AD. I was on the most critically acclaimed episode last time.
Today we're here to talk about Twisters. You've probably seen it advertised everywhere. It's one of the new summer blockbusters starring...
Glenn Powell, Daisy Ridley.
Not quite. Glenn Powell, Daisy Edgar Jones, Anthony Ramos, and a big ensemble cast, including new Superman, David Cornswept.
Was he Scott?
He was the buff scientist that got run out of the splash of mud towards the end.
Scott.
Is that his name? It was Scott.
Yeah.
Look, big Twister fan. But to start with, just a quick spoiler-free synopsis and thoughts. It is a film about two groups of storm chasers with different goals, essentially. One led by Anthony Ramos and Daisy Edgar Jones, and one led by Glenn Powell. It basically shows them in Oklahoma doing storm chasing and researching tornadoes, twisters, whatever you want to call them, with the ultimate goal of Daisy's character Kate essentially trying to stop a tornado. So that's the synopsis. What are your spoiler-free thoughts?
Spoiler-free. I liked this movie.
Yeah.
Until I didn't. So I was in love with this movie. Like, it was so cheesy, but it like hit all the cliches of I'm out of this life.
Yeah.
I'm not going back. And you go, what was the line? There was the line where it's coming after our families.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is great. This is great. And then Glenn Powell comes in. He's like, well, I'm a southern boy. We do things different way down here.
Such good casting. He's
very good.
A cowboy.
And the woman, Daisy Ridley, she's completely fine, but she does get better as it goes on. Kind of develops her to a point where you're like, oh, I quite liked her. I thought she was a decent protagonist.
I thought she was really good. She was also the protagonist. A lot of the marketing,
she was the protagonist.
A lot of the marketing poses Glenn Powell as, this is his movie, and he's a big part of it, but he is the supporting actor.
I will say, the bad guys are very weak. Yeah,
I was sort of on board with you. It was cliche. It's a big dumb fun root tootin American blockbuster.
I love dumb fun. Like Argyle was one of my favorite films of last year because I thought it was dumb and I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
But this was like, it might have took itself too seriously in places.
Yes,
and also
and no.
I don't think it developed itself as well as I would have liked.
Yeah.
Watching it, I was like, oh, I wouldn't have done this. I would have had a bit more fun with it.
Yeah.
Because you had all like, oh, I'm the tech guru. I have a drone. I'm a crazy scientist. And then you just kind of stand there.
Yeah, so it kind of establishes this ensemble cast, and it doesn't really use them. They're normally just there to kind of scream in the background and do like fun, quirky character things in montages, but never really showcase their areas of expertise.
They're sort of there to like talk to the main people.
Yeah, they're there to kind of like push the plot, but they don't really do super consequential things.
I think in terms of like actual movie creation, like cinematography and stuff,
yeah,
I thought it was all fine. I thought it was like well put together.
Yeah,
like it looked good.
I thought the visual effects looked pretty good.
Oh, the visual effects were pretty good. I thought it sounded good.
Yeah, had a really nice score. But
I thought like sound effects and stuff were quite good as well.
Oh, the sound design was great, and I'll touch this a bit more later, I guess. But
really, our resident sound guy.
Yeah, I thought that you need to see this in the cinema. If you're going to watch this at home, it will just not have the same impact. This is a blockbuster, and it's meant to be seen and heard in a cinema. Hearing this through just like some like crappy TV speakers will just take
it would
such
really
the punch away
lose
from it.
a lot of what makes it kind of enjoyable, at least the first half.
I thought the score was good.
I thought it was good, but I don't remember any of it.
Every now and then there would be like swelling orchestral moments, like when, not saying too much spoilers, but when Tyler and Kate essentially...
Who's Kate?
The main woman.
Oh,
character.
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, Daisy Edgar Jones, close enough. When Tyler and Kate go after the first tornado together, it's like a really nice swelling orchestral score, and I was like, oh yeah, this is Amblin. This is like... Spielberg doesn't have a hand in this, but this does.
Oh yeah, it's Amblin, isn't it?
This is very Amblin score-like, and then it'll just be like country western music, kind of be expected. Every now and then they'll just be like,
my horse, my horse are
or they'll be like,
they'll be like banjo kicks in.
There'll be like a pop song, or there'll be like some emotional country song as they're lamenting.
Put a bit of T Swift in there.
But yeah, score was good. Not the most memorable, but good. So yeah, overall, I think that enjoyed this being a big dumb fun blockbuster, and because I basically bought into what this film was, and so then when it had a cliche, not the most satisfying but kind of ending that you'd expect, it didn't dishearten me too much because I kind of presumed that would be the trajectory it would take. I would have preferred if it had a stronger ending and if it was actually was a bit more poignant or something rather than just being one set piece.
The last act completely tanked this movie for me.
Yeah.
I got kind of bored in it.
It's just a shame.
I was watching it. I was like, I like all these characters. For the most part, I thought I really quite liked them. I thought they were quite they had their quirks.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, everyone's supposed to do something. You've got like your team together. Nothing happened. They just sort of hide.
Yeah.
And like one person takes it down.
So I think it's now a good time to get into spoilers. I found it super cliche to the point where we were jokingly being like, he's going to say this is going to happen, and it would happen. I was like, he's going to take her to a rodeo. Next shot,
it was literally the next
shot of a rodeo.
I think I called Javi, he's working for the bad guys, so our main character is working for the bad guys, or I called it instantly.
Yeah.
I turned to you and was like, Josh, these guys they're teaming up with are all like big money people, and then Pal's leading like a ragtag group of like green cowboy eco warriors.
Yeah, I was like, it could be, and then literally like two or three scenes later, they're like giving free stuff to displaced like people, and then the other people are selling like insurance cards, and it's like, oh no, are you alright?
So like the main bad guy in this movie is kind of Javier, but also not. It's kind of like there is no like face of an evil corporation.
What there is, because they are when they're in the diner, she comes over like, "What are you guys doing?" And they're talking to is it called Biggs? Whatever the I'm gonna look it up. Riggs. So Riggs is kind of like the insurance salesman.
Yeah, but he doesn't do anything. You just sort of you see him like in the background a lot, but he has like no scene where he goes, "Well, monsieur, tornadoes, they're good for business. Why would I have you destroy this tornado when it's good for business?"
He never explicitly, there is no explicit scene like that, which I kind of would have presumed with how cliche it was.
I would have preferred it. That's the whole thing. Like, because there is no, like, human face to the bad guys. Like, there's maybe that as you said, Superman Scott.
They tried to with Scott.
They tried to make him an asshole, but he just kind of, his actions... He doesn't do anything kind of evil. He's just like, let's go after the storm.
Yeah, if he did something like, if he like commandeered the car and pushed Javi out.
Yeah, or left him behind.
Or if something like that happened, then it would have been, okay, bona fide, there's the
like at heart, this is a human versus nature story.
Yeah.
And normally in those films, I told you as we were walking back,
in
those films, those who try and profit from the nature, like, and use it to like sort of take advantage of people, they normally get bad endings in this.
Yeah,
like there was no comeuppance for him.
Apart from Scott being splashed with mud.
Yeah, he gets splattered with mud, which is kind of just rubbish.
Yeah.
If I'm honest with you. Like, no one gets, like, sucked off into the tornado and killed. Like, there's no scene where the big bad guy's like, "You can't stand in the way of progress!" And then the tornado rips apart the building he's in, and he, like, floats, goes, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
As he gets sent off into the tornado. There's no, like, look where, I don't know, Scott's driving away. And he's like, "Ha, I've won!" And then a thing just sideswipes him. That is another thing I will say. No one kind of dies in this movie.
A lot of nameless civilians.
Nameless civilians die, but like we have an ensemble cast of what, like about 8 people.
But you're forgetting three of their closest friends died.
In like the first 5 minutes,
which was actually quite hilarious.
Oh, it was so funny. So they like get out the car and like they're running for like underneath a bridge or something. Yeah. And then they have to like one guy just gets like sucked off instantly.
Yeah.
And then the other ones they're like trying to climb up like a really small ramp.
They're trying to crawl on hands and knees up a slightly wet slope.
And she's like, "I can't do it. I can't do it. Hold my hand. No. Ah! And she gets sucked off.
And then her partner also gets sucked off because he was telling her to hold on.
That one I quite liked. I thought that one was quite good.
Yeah.
The whole partner stuff, I will be honest with you. Yeah. I quite liked because I liked that she was a bit more... Because she did have an arc, which I liked the main character.
Yeah, she did.
Because you saw how like free she is and like happy and like the opening.
Yeah.
And all like recorded things, and then you get her to like nowadays when all her friends have died, she's like very reserved.
I think she was actually...
She begins to like get out of the shell.
I think she was actually a well-written character. And
I agree.
And she had an arc.
Which I did quite like the fact that they did, because it could have been like Because they were bigging up as like, oh, she's so confident. She's the greatest. My God, she's amazing. And then just showed that like she isn't just like a Mary Sue character.
Yeah.
Like she does have her flaws, but she also does get stuff right. She is good at her job.
Yeah. Well, I want to say that something that they touched on but never fully committed to was kind of like the parallels between like their trauma and their personalities and the actual tornadoes themselves.
I don't really know what you mean.
I can't remember what the line was, but she essentially left that life and she she couldn't come back to it and couldn't conquer it.
She was chopping wood and he was like, I want you back in the game.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't chase no more.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the tornado for her is kind of like unfinished business, which is like literal because she never actually got her experiment never worked and got to like disband a tornado. Her arc of like overcoming her fear to actually like beat this thing, and also for him about how he used to be like terrified of them, and he used to be like a rodeo.
You mean Glenn Powell?
Yeah. His character used to be like terrified of them, and then he got into rodeo riding, or both at the same time. And then his whole thing about you can't run from your fears, you have to ride them.
Yeah, that was really dumb. I like that.
It was dumb, but I like how they tried to put stuff in there. They just never really committed to both of them. Yeah.
Basically, I thought that with a lot of the characters, if I'm honest with you. We're introduced to like loads of characters.
Yeah.
Like we've got on like the bad guy side, we got Scott, we got Javier, Javi, big businessman, and then there's like a load of nameless people.
There's like one other van when they're like the three have to put up the 3 satellite dishes. It's like Lion Squad, Tiger Squad, and then there's just this like
random van,
very random man with
and
two
then you're
guys
like introduced to like the eco warriors, and they're like, oh, this is the drone pilot, this is the scientist,
the British guy,
and the British journalist, who I thought was probably the most developed of that group.
That's the thing, is that they all had, I know what you're probably going to say is that you wish they committed to their arcs more. I did like that they kind of gave them all, not all, but some of them mini resolution, like the British guy.
They gave like 2 out of like about 6 of them.
Yeah.
Like the final act, I'll move on to the final act.
Yeah.
So I was enjoying this movie. Like they go after the final tornado, and it goes into an oil refinery, sets on fire.
Fire tornado.
Oh, fire tornado! This is great.
Yeah.
This is great. I love this. And then like they go into town, they're like, "Get away! You gotta get away from this place!"
Yeah.
Oh, and then Glenn Powell almost dies, and there's a bit where it's like, "You gotta leave me! I'm pinned down. I can't get up. I'm stuck underneath this rubble." And then Javi comes in
the last second.
and he like puts a thing, and he's like, "Oh, you've got a cool redemption."
Oh, and it's the callback to the opening. Her dead partner in the beginning when the thing was flipped, and he was like, "We've got to get leverage."
Yeah, but he got leverage, and then they're going to be like, "Yeah, we're going to have to work together, and everyone's going to get back in their cars and take this storm down." No, they all go and hide in the cinema. None of the guys do anything. Daisy Edgar goes off and solves it all on her own. And then Glenn Powell, everybody else goes in a movie theatre, and a tornado attacks that. None of the main characters die.
Plot armor.
They all have the plot armor weighed them down.
Yeah.
Here's what I would have done. Kill everyone. Kill like almost all the side characters.
I don't think they would have. They should have.
They should have killed so many people. Like, I can't even remember any of their names.
So yeah, there was Glenn Powell, then there was camera guy, British guy, drone pilot, mechanic lady, and scientist guy. They could have killed a few.
They've killed probably about 3 of them. Not the British guy, because the British guy needed to tell the story.
Yeah.
I would have killed engineer, best friend scientist, and probably the scientist.
Yeah.
Maybe the drone pilot. Here's the thing: the drone didn't come into the movie really.
No.
But they look at there's like at the ending they look at like the tornado, and then it gets instantly electric strike, and that's it.
They should have realistically not struck her drone down, and she should have had it, and then she should have been doing like reconnaissance above the clouds, and then when it dissipated, she was the first one to see like, guys, it's working.
It's working. No, here's what you do. So you have the thing where she goes off alone, and then Glenn Powell's like, you don't have to do this alone. Because she's been alone this entire, that's her arc. It's like she's alone and she really needs to open up to people. Yeah. So he comes in, the rockets, because they have to fire off rockets to make it rain in this tornado. Yeah. That just happens normally, but it jams in my version of it.
Right.
And they have to get out of the car and start like trying to fix it. That's where Boone gets sucked up, and they're like, "Oh, this is the end. Yeah, it's not working." And then the drone comes in. They've strapped it to the drone, and the drone like detonates, and that's how you get it.
Maybe they made the tornado too OP because it was literally to the point where like no one had a choice to do anything apart from cower in fear in the movie theater, because if anyone took a step outside, they would have just been sucked up. It was almost
they would have been like sucked
it was
off.
almost too powerful. I do want to say that I did like that it ended in a cinema. I just thought it was cool. It was stupid.
What is it, meta?
What was the what do you reckon the film was on the screen? Do you reckon it was the original Twister? Or do you
No, it's
reckon
Frankenstein.
It was okay. It was Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I just thought that was cool.
I just think the third act really just kind of bored me. Because I was just like, oh, there's like no stakes because no one's like dying.
Yeah.
Like none of the main characters who I've known over this movie have died. There's no sad moments. I want to see some death. I want to see some people get sucked off.
Oh, we did
like,
see
up into the
nameless
tornado.
civilians get sucked off, but no
yeah,
one
there's
really.
a lot of like sucking off of like nameless civilians, but like there's like no big bad guys have said gets like taken up into the tornado. It's like, big business.
Yeah.
Like none of the bad guys get the comeuppance. Like Javi probably should have self-sacrificed. It's that type of movie, like Armageddon. It's not detonating. Someone's got to go outside and detonate the barrels themselves. And Glenn Powell's about to do it. And he's like,
And he
"No,
does it.
I'll do it."
I did think it was quite funny that her just like jamming the button like 20 times until it released. She didn't have to get out and sell. I thought she was going to get out and have to like release them.
Yeah, that would have been more tense.
But then no, she just kept pressing the
There
button.
wasn't a scene. Do you remember in Man of Steel where Kevin Costner like gets sucked off by the
where
tornado?
he's like, no.
There should have been that scene. Kevin Costner should have been in it, and then he just does that and dies.
It's like, for plot reasons, I will be dying pretty soon.
For plot reasons, he plays the boyfriend.
Uh,
For plot reasons, I'm only in the first 5 minutes. I liked it, and then it kind of disappointed me.
what do you
at the end.
think of the actual ending? Her going off to the airport and then
terrible.
I
It was
thought
such a letdown.
I knew I could tell it was going to happen. I was just
Yeah,
like,
they didn't kiss. Which
They did kiss in the delete scene. I saw on Twitter. They
why
shot.
did you get rid of that?
I don't know. Maybe they thought it was too cliche, which is hilarious.
No,
for how cliche it was.
that would have been so much
They should
better.
have done that. I saw on Twitter they shot where he runs after her and then like they kiss and then afterwards he like high fives her after they cut, and that's like that should have been in the movie.
It should have been. It was great.
But then they went with a silly gag of flights are delayed due to wind,
yeah,
and then they do a weird push focus to a cloud
because twisters.
because twisters. They never called them twisters once. They always called them tornadoes.
They should have gone. What is this? Some twisters?
It is just another word for it, isn't it?
I think it is just another word.
But Twister is. I thought that Twister was the more American saying, and tornado was a more British saying.
There should have been a scene where they played Twister.
Yes,
Like at the beginning, and I would have been like, you know what, I have respect for you for doing that.
that would have been good.
Playing Twister.
I do have to say the best bit was the rodeo town.
They go to a rodeo, then Twister comes in, starts wrecking stuff.
That's the best.
That's the best scene.
That's big.
Genuinely
summer
tense.
blockbuster.
Genuinely quite tense in places.
Yeah.
Like, I think Glenn Powell's amazing in it.
Yeah.
I thought she was amazing. It's like a mini disaster movie.
Yeah.
You have like annoying side characters who are in like 5 minutes, and I'm instantly like, yeah, these guys are gonna die.
It's probably like quarter of an hour little sequence, and that bites out on its own. I would happily just watch.
I'd watch that clip, yeah.
Yeah, because it was just like really good setup, nice dialogue, and then the evacuation, the visual effects look good.
Can I talk about? Sorry, after that happens, like they have the Dark Night of the Soul, where Javier comes in, and he goes to the Daisy Ridley. He's like, my friends.
That's not either of their names.
They come in and he's like, our friends died because you were chasing that Grant. I'm like, mother. At the beginning of the movie, you're the only one who's literally like, let's go get this Grant. She doesn't mention the Grant like once.
No.
It's just him, and he's just like, I hate you because you were only in it for the money. And I'm like, look here, mother.
That's a low blow.
Look here, mother. This is all on you. Which they kind of try and bring back, but at that point, I'm like, I don't really care. I want to see this guy get
Yeah, it's like we want to see that guy get. That's staying in the
into the
episode.
tornado.
Yeah, they don't, because she's not really like fallible. She's not really like. There's nothing really like wrong with her. She's literally trying to help people.
There wasn't like a bit where she's like, guys, where they're all like, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here. She's like, no, the data, we need it for the data. They're all just kind of like, okay, yeah, we gotta go, and then they all like race back in, like she's with them.
She's actually quite sensible. Basically, Twisters has it like America running through its veins.
It's so American.
It's so American, and I really hope it. Do you think this will do well at the box office? Do you think this is like
I don't know.
July
I'll be
yeehaw
honest with
blockbuster?
you. There wasn't that many people in the cinema.
I think
But I
it's,
don't know if that's because it's a Friday night and it's really, really hot outside.
I think that that's a British thing, but I think that like this is like a weekend blockbuster where so many
this is
people,
very much a
so many people
blockbuster.
across America, all of America, but especially in towns and states like Oklahoma, will just be like flocking to theaters to watch this.
I hope so, because as much as I didn't really like it, I would like to see it make a profit.
I'd much rather take a bunch of these movies than like some different kettle of fish, but like a bunch of like Madam Webs and The Flash and just like stupidly expensive films that have like no thought to the writing. Where even though this is frustrating in the third act, like the people that made it actually cared about it.
Yeah, I could get that they were actually kind of trying, because like
Yeah.
you say with Madam Web, like I thoroughly enjoyed Madam Web. I'll say it right now.
As trash.
As trash.
Yeah,
I'm a great purveyor of trash,
yeah.
and I love Madam Web. You can quote me on that. Put my quote on the thing being like, I love Madam Web. That's all the ultimate trash.
This sadist.
But this was not trash. This was like this is like an okay.
This is a
blockbuster.
3-star blockbuster.
Yeah.
I think I saw a tweet where someone was like, "This is a 3-star film with 5-star fun," and I was like, "I think you'd be a bit more like down on that," but I think that I think it's a very fine movie that I just love for the fun factor.
I watch a lot of these types of movies where they're like fun, dumb fun.
Yeah.
And I don't think the dumb fun was dumb fun enough. They would like still trying to tell like a serious story about it.
Yeah.
But I think the writing was too good in the serious side. Like the Meg 2.
Yeah.
That to me was a lot of dumb fun. They kind of just went, okay, screw this.
They understand the assignment.
Screw this. Yeah, they understood the assignment.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys, I think, cared too much about the assignment to make it dumb fun.
But I don't think it ever crossed into being like, this is too boring. I know you said that you think the third act is
I
a bit
thought
boring.
the third act was dull.
But it's not like, this is painful.
It wasn't painful in any places, no.
It was
just a bit like, I was like looking at my watch.
Yeah.
And I was a bit like, okay, this movie didn't need to be 2 hours.
Yeah.
You could have done this in like an hour and a half.
Things like the Meg 2, Moonfall, that even like Fast and Furious to some extent, they really understand the movie they're writing. It's not good, but they understand like, right, this is going to be like schlocky. We can just kind of like...
Well, it's schlock. I love a bit of schlock.
Yeah. They're just like, oh, what if this happened? Oh, what if Jason Statham like...
Well, if you punched a shark in the head.
Stuff like that. And they just kind of, they run with that. Whereas because this was trying to be a movie, they never really leaned too far into the stupidity. I thought towards the end, like, oh, is her car going to get picked up by the tornado, and then as it dissipates, she then like lands and drives out of it? But they never really bought into the idea of being too stupid.
Yeah, there was you went into the tornado, but there was no one. You never saw someone get like in a car get like taken up into the tornado.
But if it was like a Fast and Furious film, someone would have fallen out of a car in a tornado, then climbed back in it, and then landed and driven off. And
No. If this was Fast and Furious, they would have had 2 cars in the tornado, and they were circling each other.
And they would have swapped cars.
And it was like one guy's is the bad guy. That Letty is in the bad guy car, and she gets out, and she has to jump into Dom's car and through the tornado.
And he like grabs her hand.
He's like, family, come here. And they
Tornado can't destroy my family.
There's only one thing a tornado can't rip apart. That's my family. I love you, family. He starts crying.
Vin Diesel, write this down.
But Vin Diesel is just listening to this, being like,
Fast X Part 2.
like,
Being like, my God.
To be fair, Fast and Furious meets Twister.
It would be hilarious.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun.
So, yeah, closing thoughts on Twisters. I would definitely recommend to go and see this. I think I would much rather see, like I said, I would much rather see more films like this than expensive stuff that's just put out there with no thought to the writing. Like, this is an Amblin film. You can see the care that went into making this. Everyone thought they were having a blast making it. I hope it does well at the box office. So if you can see this in cinemas, please do. If not, please stream it. I think it's worth watching, and I don't think you'll leave this feeling too disappointed. It's just a big, dumb, fun movie.
I would say watch this in cinemas. I will say I won't be watching this film again.
Yeah.
I had fun in parts of it, not all of it. If I was to give this a colour, that's like my rating. It would be probably like a cool aquamarine, because it's sort of cool to look at, but the more you watch it, the more colder it gets. But I would say, if you love being in a cinema during the summer with a bunch of other people, watching people get then this is the movie for you.
Okay. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Home Screen Podcast. If you enjoyed it, please give us a follow on social media or rate us on Spotify, give us a like on YouTube, any of that stuff. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.